Hello, beloved listeners, and welcome to Snake People at the Movies, film criticism by people who actually like film. Join us as we dive into movies we love, movies we respect, and movies we wish we could unsee. It's a podcast where we talk about growing up and living queer, nerdy, and depressed online and at the cinema. From the kids who get muted on Twitter during award season, it's Sneople at the Movies. I'm Matty.
I'm Helena.
And this is episode 3 of Snake People at the Movies. This is part 2 of the Oscars Hangover episode. This is the Hangover, not the Hangover extended universe. This is just us having to deal with the aftermath, the crumbling, burning ashes of the Oscars. It wasn't actually that bad. That's a little bit harsh. It was not that bad.
We'll talk about it. Ezra is not here with us right now. They are working, but they have sent us their thoughts, which we will get into, and you might hear from them later in the episode as well. So much has already been said about the Best Picture win this year, which was, if you haven't been paying attention, was Green Book. We're not gonna talk about that too much because, it's been done. There are some really good articles that talk about Green Book and touch on what our issues with it are that I think say it better than we could. We're gonna link them on the People Snake Twitter account, but I want to mention which ones those are and who they're by right now in order of when they were written. The first one is K. Austin Collins' review of Green Book for Vanity Fair from December 11th, 2018, which was, I think, shortly after the movie first came out. The title to that article is The Truth About Green Book. The other one is by Justin Chang for the LA Times with the incredibly harsh title, Oscars 2019, Green Book is the worst Best Picture winner since Crash.
That's not the first time I've heard that. I heard that a lot.
No, and yeah, that's been said a lot in the past few days. Bookmarking that as well. One that isn't just focused on Green Book, but the entire Oscars thing in its entirety is the Mark Harris article for Vulture. And then the last one is the article from Shadow and Act, How Green Book and the Hollywood Machine Swallowed Donald Shirley Whole. That was actually published before the Mark Harris and the LA Times article, so I apologize. This was published back in December 14th, 2018, and it is a long read that really goes into the background of this film and the production and the issues with that. And it's also a really fascinating look at the life of the real Donald Shirley, if you're interested in that. So we'll link to them.
Yeah, I will get all of those articles from you, and I will post them up on the Twitter after this episode comes out. So you can listen to our episode, and you can do some light reading. There will not be a test on this. This is just for...
No.
Everyone and their mom, I think, rightfully has had a lot to say about the Best Picture pick. We said a lot on Twitter. It's just been a topic of discussion, as it should be. It's a very frustrating scenario. I think we joked about it in the last episode. I was doing the edit last night, and we were joking about it. I didn't really think about how I would feel if it won, because it was kind of on the edge of my periphery. I was like, Green Book could win, but I think Bohemian Rhapsody will probably take it, just because that's such a weird, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. No.
I don't know why I didn't think about it winning. It happened. It's an interesting time because, of course, everybody has an opinion about it, regardless of whether or not you've seen it, ourselves included, because
neither of us fucking saw it.
Neither of us have seen it, but I feel like I've seen it 10 times.
I don't want to see it.
I feel like I have I feel like I have an HBO subscription and it's just been on HBO every day, and I've just been like watching it because it's on TV all the time. Like I feel like I've seen this movie. But I've been like avoiding this like the plague since I learned more about what it was about, and I have no intentions of seeing it now, certainly.
I was
So, you know,
I was only ever initially interested in it because I love Viggo Mortensen. And I didn't really know what it was about. I was like, oh, it's a Viggo movie, like I'll probably see it, and I heard what it was actually about, and I was like, I think I'm gonna miss this one, actually. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
so.
I remember back when when somebody was teasing it a few months before it came out, Ezra actually tweeted about it, being like, "Oh my God, look at this! I'm so excited for this," because it was, you know, Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, and we were like, "Oh yeah," you know. Then I saw the trailer. I was actually thinking back to when I saw Star is Born back in November or December or whatever, and the two trailers that they showed before Star is Born were Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody. And
what a fucking combo.
And it's a testament to, like, you know, to at least something about Green Book that I could actually stand watching the trailer for it, whereas literally the trailer for Bohemian Rhapsody made me, like, I had to hide my head in my hands because I was so embarrassed by it, by how bad it was. So, you know, there's that. We weren't going to talk about this for too long, so we should just shut up and move on to
I love that both of us were like, we're not going to talk about it, we're just going to say our brief thing, and we're going to move on, and both of us were like, actually... Hold my fucking coat. Like, I have a lot to say. No, in all seriousness, too long, didn't read. We're not going to get too deep into it. Read the articles. If you want to talk about it, you can hit us up on Twitter and maybe we'll have some stuff to say, but I also feel like both of us feel like this is not entirely our place to talk about it too much. So we'll leave it to people who are better suited to the cause.
Yeah, people have already talked about it more intelligently.
So, on to better and brighter news. We just want to talk about kind of what we did for the Oscars. Ezra, I know, didn't watch them. They were at their local game store for 12 hours playing D&D. Like the fucking nerd they are. They had a really good time. That's the important part, but they didn't watch the Oscars. I didn't really watch them. I did the Twitter osmosis thing that I do every year. So my roommate and I, we don't have cable. So I was like, Amanda, we could watch the Oscars. And she was like, yeah. Or we could watch Brother versus Brother, which is this HGTV show with the Property Brothers where they like flip homes. And it's... Anyway, so we watched that instead. And then she left to go do something. And then I just like... was like, I'm not going to get on Twitter because I'm just going to get mad about the Oscars. And then I got on Twitter and got mad about the Oscars. So, it's like...
And low.
As I do every year.
I know when I finally saw you getting on there, I was like, no, stay away. Matty.
Save yourself.
Don't go towards the light.
I had to follow. I went where you followed. That's not quite the phrase. It doesn't matter. The point is it doesn't matter. I was there. I saw it.
You were. I was at my friend Jamie's house for our second annual Oscar party between me and a group of friends. It was just 1, 2, 3, 4 of us plus Jamie's boyfriend Dan.
Who's not your friend.
We get together, just the four. No, he is our friend. It's important to distinguish who's who. So there was the 5 of us. We got together, and for this year and last year, we made punny or rhyming food to go with the nominated films. So I can link to that thread on Twitter that I had of all of our different foods, but I was like, obviously standing for the favorite this year. So I bought a sponge cake, and Jamie whipped up some like green coloring food in some whipped cream and spread it on top of the sponge cake because There's a scene in The Favorite where Olivia Colman eats a bunch of colorful cakes and then promptly vomits them into a vase. So that was my representative food for The Favorite. And I printed out some pictures of Rachel Weisz, Emma Stone, and Olivia Colman's faces, and I put them on toothpicks and stuck them on top of the cake. And then I also bought some mead from the mom and pop wine shop. And there was some other stuff. We had brie related foods. We had Breedley Cooper and Can You Ever Forgive Brie? Just looking at the thread right now. My friend Grant made incredible stew for The Incredibles. He brought Corona and just put a label on it that said Coroma. We had Bohemian Alchemy, which was a punch, and then Bohemian Raspberry Cake, which was a very delicious cake.
So basically you just had like a absolute spread. I like flicked through the thread.
Yes.
That was part of my Oscar thing, was like me reading your thread. That was mostly what I did. I was just like,
so good.
I just want to know what Helena's saying.
My two favorite things were my friend Lila made basically just recreated the poster for Vice, but it said rice on it instead, and she just made Spanish rice and stuck the poster in it. And my second favorite thing is that Grant texted me like a couple hours before the party started, saying like, hey, my printer has like fucked off, can you print something out for me for the party? And I was like, yeah. And he sent me this picture of Glenn Close crying in The Wife with her like mascara running, and I was like, okay. And he said, can you print it really tiny, like 1 inch by 1 inch? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And I did that, and I printed it out, and I sent a picture of it to him, like the scale of it being like, it's really small, are you sure that you want it that small? And he was like, yes, it's perfect. And I gave it to him, and he put it on a little tiny cheese knife, so for the Breedley Cooper, so it became the knife, as in the wife. And it's possibly my favorite thing that anybody has ever done in my life.
Oh, what a treasure!
So we had a very good time. Like the atmosphere was very we were having a party, and so even when things were like bad in terms of who was winning what, we were still having a good time. We had our Oscar ballots, which decided what prizes we got at the end of the evening, with our should wins and will wins. I got 9 should wins and 14 will wins. So that's okay, but Grant beat me. And it was, that was that. We yelled a lot.
As, understandable. I was just yelling inside my head, but, I think most people were yelling kind of for different reasons for most portions of the show, as per usual.
I think we should talk about the host thing. I did not miss it at all.
Oh, yeah, no.
But, I mean, I've never really liked having an Oscar host. I mean, it's never really been the most important part of the show to me, so I'm a little bit biased about that. But I didn't miss it. I mean, the ending of the show was kind of awkward. That's kind of all.
It seems like even though there was no host to kind of like ease into things, once again, I didn't watch the Oscars, and therefore, as per usual, I'm having opinions about things I didn't actually see. But based on what I did see, it seems like everything was clipping along rather smoothly. The show wasn't too long. It was a pretty tight ship without a host. So I'm like, you know what? If they decide to go without a host in the upcoming years, that's probably okay. Like, this wasn't a train wreck. This was like a tight ship, it seems.
They had some really good people introducing the categories and the announcing the awards. so that helped. There was a particularly great combo of Brian Tyree Henry and Melissa McCarthy in like an assortment of the best costume nominations, adorned with kind of like Brian Tyree Henry had kind of like a Mary Poppins hat and then like part of the dress from The Favorite and like the gloves, and Olivia Colman had like Queen Elizabeth hair and a bunch of like stuffed rabbits surrounding her dress. It was great. Yes. It was so good.
Sorry, that was Melissa McCarthy, right?
Melissa McCarthy.
You said Olivia Colman, so I just want to clarify. I did see that dress, and I was like, holy shit. With no context, I was like, hell yeah, this is great. This is what we should be wearing to the Oscars.
I'm looking at the picture. Oh, yeah, there it is. So, yeah, so he had, like, Brian Tyree Henry had, like, some of The Favorite dress, and then also the Mary Poppins, and then, and Black Panther, and then she had the Queen Elizabeth, and then these, like, rabbit puppets who tried to open the Oscars envelope, and it was very good.
That's what,
so, more of
that's
that,
what we need, please. Yeah. I want people to cosplay as the award they're announcing.
Yes, I was actually listening to.
Sorry, I just saw the picture of the two of them. What a fucking delight!
It's so good.
It's so good.
I was just listening the other day to the podcast Over Invested and their Oscar 2019 recap, and they mentioned that I believe it was the ceremony several years back that Hugh Jackman hosted. That was directed by oh God, what's his name? It's escaping me right now, but basically I believe it was at this ceremony where they like introduced the awards, the winners, in order of like how a film is made. So they introduced like the writing awards first, and then like went on through the night, eventually ending with Best Picture, but like in order of like what elements are added to a film when. So it was like,
I remember this,
doing it in a creative and unique way. And it actually kind of helped people who were watching who like don't know a lot about, you know, film production, like how a film is made, and let's celebrate that. And I think that is really cool, and I don't understand why they don't do that every year, but that's
or at least mix it up every year, like doing different ways of approaching these things. They tend to keep it pretty static, and I'm like, let's get funky, let's get fresh. This is like we were talking about how like
funky fresh.
Stop, don't laugh at me. How the Oscars used to be very like pomp and circumstance, and now it's relatively cut and dry. It's a pretty sleek show these days, which is like there's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I want for the Oscars though. Mm-hmm. I want more shit like the two of them wearing all of the different combinations of costumes for the Best Costuming Award, and that's what I want. I want shit to be wild. I want it to be fun and wacky. I want them to announce the awards in the order of like how long it took for them to decide who was gonna win. Like, I don't know. That's just something
that would be interesting.
It would probably be a very short show, or an extremely long one.
Speaking of musical numbers,
you said it now. That I was absolutely on board. I was like, yes, absolutely. I want full song and dance. I want Sondheim there. Though they did have a musical number this year. It did not have song and dance. It was not a Broadway performance. But apparently did they do this after they like Best Original Song Award, or it was Lady Gaga and Mr. Cooper?
Well, it was one of them. They did Mr. Cooper. They did musical performances for all but one of the original song nominees. Mm-hmm. And everything else was kind of like, yeah, fine, cool. And then
came
it was
Shallow.
So obvious. And then came Shallow. It was so kind of obvious based just on this decision like where they were leaning in terms of voting for Best Original Song if it wasn't obvious already.
Yeah, as if we didn't call it immediately.
People have been talking about this. Yeah. The direction of it was so unique and different because they filmed like these people, they filmed crew like setting up the piano and the microphone and this chair like on stage from like looking out to the audience. And then from the front row of the audience, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper came up to the stage together and, you know, started to sing this song that we've now heard, you know, probably, you know, 1 million to 1 billion times. But it was like, I mean, okay, I was pretty smashed by that point, to be fair, but I was like really emotional when that happened. And I'm not like, Star is Born was not even in my top 10 of the year. I have like no emotions around Bradley Cooper. I liked the film. It was good, but I'm not like, oh my God, Star is Born. But this was like, I couldn't even look at the screen. I said out loud, I can't look. It's too much. And Lila made me look. She was like, look at them. You have to look at them. So it was it was a lot to handle. They had very good chemistry. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
And you know, as we all know, like when actors work together for long periods of time, you just become naturally comfortable with each other. That's just how it is. But like also,
yep. Also, I know that they're not like actually. So they tell me.
But they're good at faking it.
I 100% understand where people are coming from when they bring up their little conspiracy theories. It's just good acting, but you know,
but it's good acting.
It's very good acting. It's good acting. Yeah, so that was fun.
Cool. So, speaking of the awards, there's a few topics we wanted to kind of cover. I know we want to talk about a little bit more about how the Oscars actually work. But before we do that, I kind of wanted to get into the technical awards. I think you all should be very proud of me for not opening this episode with A Quiet Place Was Robbed. Because I remember I was on fucking Twitter.com and I was scrolling and I saw the award win for Bohemian Rhapsody and I was like, what? Huh? What? And I tweeted something which could have been read as, did A Quiet Place just lose for sound editing? Most everyone couldn't actually read what I typed because I was frantic in trying to ask the question. Helena understood, but Ben was like, what does this say? I can't read this. And I'm like, I just wanted to know if a crime had been committed on this day, and it was. It was.
I was not surprised by Quiet Place losing. I was not expecting it to win. I had it as my should win, but that was my very optimistic should win. And unfortunately, I was right. I was actually surprised because I had Quiet Place should win for sound editing and Bohemian Rhapsody will win. And for sound mixing, I said, oh, Roma should win. And Star is Born is gonna win because they're not gonna give both of their sound awards to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Optimistic of us. That happened. Did they see A Quiet Place? Here's the real question, and this is a genuine question. This is not me being a dick. Because I know this is what happens in the Academy, is not everybody sees all the movies. I don't see all the movies, and I have a movie podcast. That's, like, fine or whatever. It's not fine, because this is literally their job. But, how much do you... This was also a horror movie. This was a, like, very serious horror movie. How many people do you think didn't see A Quiet Place, or didn't like it because it was a horror movie, and therefore wrote it off?
Yeah, I'm willing to bet a lot. Look, it is inexcusable that they don't see these movies, and the reason that we know that some people don't watch all the movies that are nominated is because they've admitted to that in those brutally honest Oscar articles that I think the Hollywood Reporter releases every single year, and there are like more egregious things that they admit to in those articles than that. But that's really annoying because they're given these screeners for free. They are literally, like, given them to watch for free. And they still won't watch them sometimes.
This is all they do. It's not all they do. That's not fair. No. But, like, this is
they do have
fucking
jobs,
Oscars.
Like, yeah.
This is the fucking Oscars. You're not gonna at least watch some of the movie to try and give an unbiased opinion?
Yeah.
I didn't see A Quiet Place because it was a fucking horror movie, and horror movies aren't art. I will kill you. I won't, because that's a very harsh opinion to have. But, like...
I know you
this
know. Is, I mean, we'll talk about this probably more in the future
for the rest of my life.
It'll come up, but the Academy does have a bias. It seems like, especially in later years, towards, or rather, against genre movies. The one notable exception to this in recent history being Return of the King winning Best Picture.
Or Black Panther winning so much, which, though not like a full genre movie, is still like a superhero action movie. And it's the first thing any of the Marvel movies have won anything. And to be fair, if anything was going to win, it was going to be Black Panther. That movie deserved everything it was up for, basically. Despite my love for Cap 2.
Yeah, I think that Black Panther being nominated for Best Picture, which is like amazing, would not have happened.
Oh God, no!
Had it not been for the diversity push. That's one of many things that would not have happened in the Academy that was before this push for diversity. So I mean, there's that. Like, maybe we'll be getting more in the future. But it's like, you look at like the 70s and like Jaws, which is like a thriller, but like it's a horror movie, was nominated for Best Picture. Star Wars was nominated for Best Picture. The Exorcist was nominated for Best Picture. This was all in the 1970s. And you just don't see that all the time now. And there's something about this bias against genre movies, horror movies and fantasy movies and science fiction movies and superhero movies now for us too, and animated movies, where it's like, this isn't like worthy of our time, or this isn't real art. Or whatever
it's not.
The fuck.
It's not considered art. Art has to be serious. Art has to be meaningful. This is not to say that genre films cannot be meaningful. This is me parodizing the Academy. It has to have an impact. This is why they like biopics and historical stuff so much, is because they're like serious, they're real movies, they're realistic. Art has to be... This is like all the people who go to art museums that are like, I could paint that, therefore it's like bad art because it's like abstract. And it's like, bitch, shut up. You can't do that. You couldn't make a horror movie either. You couldn't make a good one. Despite what people say, it's difficult. It's difficult to make a movie really flat out, but like genre movies is like are hard, but the idea is that they're for fun, or they're for kids, or they're for nerds, and therefore they shouldn't be taken seriously as a form of art. And it's like, Lord of the Rings is art.
Well, and I think that there's something to be said about the makeup of the Academy too, where like most of the Academy, a large portion of it are actors, and you know, like I'm gonna be hating on actors for a little bit. It's okay, I'm allowed, because I'm also an actor, so I can do it. It's okay. But somebody has made the point of like kind of Oscar baity movies that get nominated, even though they're very much following a formula, are like character driven, actor showcase movies, dramas, and everything like that. Whereas horror movies and science fiction, or fantasy, which are high concept, especially something like The Quiet Place, which is very high concept in its entire construct, they get like less recognition as, for their innovation, because even though it has a lot of good performances in it, it's not considered to be like, the kind of thing that they would nominate. But then, something like Vice gets nominated for Best Picture. It didn't. It only won like one thing.
It won for makeup, which night. I think we were all like, yeah, I think that's where it's gonna pull. I honestly thought it was gonna get more. Yeah. I was kind of surprised that it didn't get more awards, but I guess the things I thought it was gonna get awards for often went to Bohemian Rhapsody. So you know, you give and you take, you live and you lose.
Oh, like you mean like Best Editing? Going towards Bohemian Rhapsody?
What the fuck? Like, what? Who the fuck? We all saw that clip on Twitter where it was like, it was snappy cuts, but it wasn't like good snappy cuts. It was just kind of like when you're going too fast on a roller coaster and you're like,
That's right, exactly. You literally, it's like a bunch of people standing around a table, and there's literally a character comes in to join them at this table outside, and there's literally like a second or half a second cut of like his legs and the chair being pulled out from the table, and then a cut to them looking at him as he sits down, and then him sitting down and then looking at, and it's like, what are you doing?
Those kinds of cuts are meant to build tension, and you're not trying to build tension like that in that kind of scene, especially like the kind of cuts they were making. You have to, that's very, very specific purpose, and Bohemian Rhapsody was never going to need that, and it had it, and they were like, but it was one of those things where it's like, they did edits, they did so many edits, so they should win, and it's like, no, stop, that's not how it works.
And they're all wearing these terrible wigs, and it's just like, oh god. And so we should talk about this, because this is something that hasn't been talked about as much as the other controversies surrounding this. But the guy who won Best Editing for Bohemian Rhapsody is primarily a composer. He has also done editing for like, and I'm just double checking this on IMDb right now, he has also done editing for all of like Bryan Singer's movies. Like, that's all the movies that he's edited are Bryan Singer movies. He's like Bryan Singer's personal editor or whatever. And this is like, and so he won this award for like cobbling together this movie, because, you know, a director is supposed to have a lot of input on the editing, you know, in post-production, and because they didn't have a director, I guess people are like, oh, they're just giving him the award because he managed to do, like, okay.
Yeah, and I managed to get to work every day without crying. Like, where's my fucking award? I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Yeah, so, literally, I'm looking off his editing credits. So, yeah, he's edited Usual Suspects, Bryan Singer, Apt Pupil, Bryan Singer, X2, X-Men United, Bryan Singer, Superman Returns, Bryan Singer, Valkyrie, Bryan Singer, Jack the Giant Slayer, Bryan Singer, X-Men Days of Future Past, Bryan Singer, X-Men Apocalypse, Bryan Singer, Bohemian Rhapsody, Bryan Singer. And I'm sorry to say his name so many times in a row, but I'm saying Bryan Singer's name so many times in a row to make up for the fact that it was never mentioned once when Bohemian Rhapsody won an award that night. So thank you for that. I know we can't talk about it. I know that they like can't talk about it, because how do you talk about it? But you have to talk about it, and they didn't talk about it. So here I am
talking about it.
Anyway,
Lord Almighty.
Technical.
I think, speaking of things that just shouldn't have fucking won, original screenplay was Green Book, right? And I know we didn't want to talk about Green Book very much, but this is a little bit of a different beef. This is kind of a fun new beef. I'm sorry. Which is, it just wasn't almost everything. Sorry, Vice, I'm not going to include you in that list of everything was good on that list, but like, more than half of the list was solid writing, and it went to fucking Green Book? It went to fucking Green Book?
Okay, listen.
I'm listening.
In a year when The Favorite and First Reformed are nominated for Best Original Screenplay, you go for fucking Green Book? I can't... like, the mind absolutely boggles. I'm sorry. I can't...
It boggles.
I'm like out of words. I am without language.
Speechless.
Now, appropriately. And like, and also, I don't see how, I mean, obviously the Academy does not care about the controversy around this, but a large part of the controversy around Green Book is related to the screenplay, not just the production, like the producer level or at the director level, who are, ostensibly honored in Best Picture, but at the original screenplay level, there is a lot of problems with how this was made. And again, it's been talked about. We're not going to talk about it right now. You can read those articles, but it's like, I'm sorry. Not only was it, like, ostensibly not the best screenplay, it's just, why? I can't. Okay, we need to move on because I can't.
We'll move on. This. We'll just move on. We're just gonna forget about it. We're gonna forget it ever happened. Green Book didn't happen. It did, and we have to deal with the ramifications of Green Book happening and winning multiple awards. But Spike Lee won Best Adapted Screenplay. That is true. So that was it was weird because it was such a bad pick for original, and it was such a good pick for adapted, and it was whiplash. It was like, what?
It was.
Huh?
It was emotional whiplash too, because we were like, Green Book, and Samuel L. Jackson was reading off the nominations for it, and you could see his
unimpressed.
Face before he announced Green Book, being like, he made a kind of face.
Green Book, huh?
And Green Book won. And then he announced adapted screenplay, and he just was so happy, and Spike Lee was so happy, and he jumped into Samuel L. Jackson's arms, and it was great, and he had a great speech, and we stand. So that was
in short, we stand.
Invented purple, Spike Lee.
Oh God, much deserved wins for him after all this fucking time. Like,
yes.
It's one of those things. There's a couple of asterisks on things this year where it's like, I'm really glad you won, but, and then the but is like, it shouldn't have taken this long, or but Bohemian Rhapsody was a bad movie and you shouldn't have said that fucking Freddie Mercury's gay because he was bi, or but. Mm-hmm. Green Book was a bad movie, and I wish you would gotten a better role and you would won for a better role than this.
Yeah. That's one thing, is Mahershala Ali did win Best Supporting Actor that night, and it was kind of like, yeah, okay. I really think he's a fantastic actor, and I hope that he is in other movies.
I want him and Viggo to be in a movie that's better. I want the two of them to be in a movie that's good. It could even be in a movie where they're in a car together for a bunch of it. That's fine too. I just want it to be a good movie. Yeah. And a movie that isn't just
it could take place entirely in a car.
It could be just a car movie. It could be Cars 4. I don't know. Oh boy. Another
God, what else?
I think another thing of effect was visual effects. We were like, oh, it might go to Solo. It went to First Man, which was I think a surprise to all of us, but a pleasant one. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, for sure. That works for me. Fuck Avengers Rights.
I think that was a really interesting choice.
Fuck you, Joss Whedon. Suck my dick.
No. It was specifically, oh my God, specifically purple Joss Whedon, as played by Josh Brolin. Not yes, actual Joss Whedon too, but specifically purple Joss Whedon
played by Josh Brolin,
playing Thanos.
Josh Brolin, I love you, dude. You're cool. Thanos, bitch.
He had quite a year. Thanos bad.
Thanos bad. End of sentence. Bow won for short film, as it should have.
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, I was gonna say that was the next thing, is that Spider-Verse won, which, like, yes! It should have. It should have. If it didn't win, I was going to, like, kick down the door to the Academy and start, like, breaking vases. I was gonna say faces, and then I was gonna say vases, and it came out weird, but you have the ideas. I was gonna start breaking shit, because Spider-Verse deserved to win, so very excited about that.
Yeah. There was a very terrifying moment, like, in the tension leading up to them announcing it, where I was like, and I know some people online maybe thought this too, were like, it is gonna win, right? Like, it's not, it's gonna win. And then it did. But there was a terrifying moment where I was like, God,
like, it was like, there's no way it can't win, but, like, what if Wreck-It Ralph 2 wins? Like, what were we gonna do if that was the life we were in? Oh, man. Oh, I would have hated that so fucking much.
You would have. That would have been... I would have witnessed a Twitter meltdown.
I would have... It would have been worse than what I had over A Quiet Place. I would have just died right there, never to return. Regina King.
Costume design and production design went to Black Panther, which was amazing.
Yes. Black Panther came home with, I think, 3 Oscars, which kicks ass.
Yeah.
They had original score, they had production design.
All very deserved.
Oh, and they had costume, which we weren't sure that they were going to get.
Yeah.
And was well and beyond deserved.
Yeah, and amazing speeches too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they were really fantastic.
Olivia Colman. How did we fucking forget to talk about Olivia Colman?
Oh my god, you guys! I have watched the clip of her winning, like, I think on a loop about like 30 times now. It was amazing. So we were like, I think a lot of people were dead certain that Glenn Close was going to win, which again, like, I would have been okay with that because she's been acting for a long time, and like, hey, you know, an award. I didn't think The Wife was the best movie in the world, but she was good in it. But Olivia Colman was fantastic in The Favorite and has always been fantastic in everything I've seen her in. So when that happened, this was towards the end of the night too, so we were all kind of like, you know, hyped up, and we'd had a bit to drink. But we, like, screamed our head off. We were like, and then, like, just, yeah. We were just, we were like partly like so excited and also partly like in shock, staring at each other with our mouths open. But
yeah, I don't think anybody expected that.
It was pretty great.
I think basically everybody was like, yeah, no. Glenn Close is gonna take that, and like that's like totally fine. But wow,
we did expect that if anybody was going to win over Glenn Close, that it was probably going to be Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
We're pretty certain.
She was the solid runner-up, but she fucking took it.
Yeah.
And I love her, and I'm proud of her, and I hope she knows both of those things. Ezra made sure to say that Ezra also loves them. They had some very specific things to say about Olivia Colman that I'm actually going to leave off for the sake of the listening audience, which may include my mom. Hi, Mom. I love you. But
yeah,
yes.
She was great. Her speech was great. Her reaction to, like, if you look at when they announce it, it looks like she's about to faint, and she just has, like, her husband and Emma Stone and Yorgos Lanthimos, like, just kissing her because they're so happy for her, and they're all crying.
It's like that was one of the feel-good moments, I think, of the Oscars. There was a solid handful of moments where it was like, this is what the Oscars was worth it for, is like moments of victory like this, where it's just like you're on top of the world, and so is everybody watching. Yeah.
There was a lot of goodwill towards her in the audience in that night, I think. I think she got a standing ovation. I know a few people did. I think Spike Lee
absolutely got one. I think she got one.
Yeah.
I can't think of any others off that. I'm sure Black Panther got one at least at some point.
I think so too. That wasn't one of those movies that, again, like, I feel there was like a hot second where I thought that maybe Black Panther was going to win Best Picture, because even though I don't know why I thought this was going to have an influence, because the goodwill in the audience towards Black Panther was so strong. Every time Black Panther was announced, or a win for Black Panther was announced, the crowd was just like, what? We went absolutely wild for it. And I was like, maybe. And then no. But they did win some very deserved awards, so it's okay.
As previously stated, it's going to be very difficult for a genre film to win Best Picture, but like, Black Panther was one of those things where like it's very hard to see even like the shittiest of dudes saying bad stuff about it. Of course people are, because like, nerd dudes, if there's anything nerd dudes don't like, it's women and black people and black women specifically. So like, yeah, of course they weren't gonna like Black Panther, but like the way it, much like Spider-Verse, the way it touched the general populace outside of nerds was like very telling. So it had a pretty strong impact. There was a second there I was like, even before the Oscars, where I was like, God, Black Panther could take home, like, it's not an absolute outlier. That's like that could happen, which is very, very cool. That was like, sometimes the Oscars is okay, huh? And then Green Book won. Anyway.
Anyway, I would like to say very briefly again about that. There was a moment when I actually did realize that that Green Book was going to win before it happened, and even though I wasn't totally in the acceptance phase yet, it was when they were doing, for all of the different movies that were nominated for Best Picture, they did a little like presentation about it beforehand. They had somebody come up who was unconnected with the production of the movie, and they did a little intro into it, and then they showed like a little montage of it, right? So for Green Book, they had Amandla Stenberg, I think, and John Lewis come up and do a intro into Green Book. And when I say John Lewis, I do mean Representative John Lewis. And when he made a wonderful intro into this movie that was very emotional and very stirring. And I was like, uh-oh, I think that Green Book is going to win. and I don't, it's not connected because, John Lewis isn't a member of the Academy. I'm pretty sure he didn't have a vote in it, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but after that I was kind of like, maybe. And I think I turned to my friends and I was kind of like, I'm very worried. I kind of said it under my breath, and then I just like tried to forget about it. So I should have listened to my gut. But,
you should have prepared yourself for the grief that was to come, but you can't be blamed for wanting to leave it behind you and pretend.
We were going to talk about the preferential ballot.
Oh yeah, enough about like what actually happened at the Oscars. Let's talk a little bit about how the Oscars actually works. There's this really interesting article. Did you mention it earlier, Helena? Or
yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. No, it's
from the Hollywood Reporter. It came out February 24th. It's by Scott Feinberg, and it's a relatively short article. This is another one that will drop. That's how the Oscars preferential ballot works, because I didn't know this until Helena brought it up, but only the Best Picture ballot works differently than all the other ones. The rest of them are a popular vote. The entire Academy ranks the best pictures from like their favorite to the least favorite. And technically they don't have to list all of the nominees, but it kind of, it doesn't actually help if they want to like make sure one picture doesn't win or something. Because if their choices don't end up getting higher votes, their ballot just gets thrown out. So I think the idea is that it makes a little bit more of an even spread. So even if the votes are like extremely divided in whose like favorite picture there is, things that are more widely liked still win. Is that a pretty good summation, do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, this is a system that they brought back when they increased the number of Best Picture nominees back up to, like, it's between like 5 and 10 now. Before, I can't remember when it was last just 5 nominees, but it used to be for a while it was just 5 nominees. And like the up to 10, this year there were only 8, but the up to 10 nominees thing was something that was reintroduced into the Academy Awards. It had been there before, but I read this system and it seems so convoluted to me, but that does make sense, that then a movie like Green Book, that a lot of people were kind of in the middle of the road about in the Academy, could win. Like, a lot of people in the Academy, it should be said, like, did seem to genuinely like it. But it wasn't as, like, I think a lot of what people have talked about is that Green Book was, at least, despite its big problems, at least competently made. Like, it was, well acted, and its 2 leads had chemistry, and it was a feel-good movie, and, it wasn't a movie where, like, the very production of it was in complete shambles, like Bohemian Rhapsody, which from top to bottom is just like, what? We can't go into everything that went wrong with that, but there was at least, like, despite the message of Green Book, or what it actually ends up saying versus what it thinks it's trying to say, besides that, it was like a competently made film, so people were like, so there's a chance of a movie like that winning, whereas some people were very divisive about Roma, weirdly.
Yeah.
Or, like, who was it that was talking to Academy voters? I think it was Kyle Buchanan, who is, I think he writes for the New York Times, and he was talking about, he talked to some voters who, he just asked them, like, what they think and how they vote and whatever, and somebody asked him, like, so what do people feel about The Favorite? And he was like, a lot of straight men I talked to did not, quote, get The Favorite. And so I think that's where perhaps, that movie could have suffered a little bit. Remember that the Academy right now, even though the demographics are better, is still largely white, largely male, and Yorgos Lanthimos is, like, his movies are let's just go with strange at the very least, and I can understand, like, The Favorite is a strange movie and it's his most normal movie that he's made, so, like, I can understand, plus with the addition of the lesbian storyline and The Favorite built into it, I can understand people being like, oh, that was weird. And it has a weird ending, too. Those of you who've seen it know what I'm talking about. So, like, you can understandably, people going into that expecting a standard traditional period piece definitely did not get that, which I think, personally is what makes it great. But, I think some people may have been put off by that. So that's where the preferential ballot, I think, can have an influence in that sort of thing.
It also is what contributes to, there's often a split between who wins Best Director and who wins Best Picture. Because, like, when it was all the same kind of voting, everybody was going to be like, well, Best Director, Best Picture, they both should win. But it's a little bit confusing. In the article, it actually mentioned, like, it's hard to actually predict what Best Picture is going to be because of this voting. because it takes into account, like, I thought this person had Best Director, but I thought, like, I enjoyed this particular movie more, or, like, everybody thought, like, a bunch of people thought this was at the top of their lists, but something else had a bunch of people who also had it at the top of their lists, and this movie was also number 2 on a bunch of people's lists, and so it ends up, like, really goofing up predictions and also splitting the difference between director and Best Picture, which, when it was just, like, popular vote, just didn't happen very much.
Yeah. It's weird. Math, you know. I'm not good at math. And I have this article that actually my friend Jamie found it, like, the night, like, right after Green Book won, actually, and was actually reading off to me and to all of us, like, the text in this article talking about the stuff, like, unless a single film dominates by appearing in the number 1 spot of more than 50% of all ballots, which can be difficult to do in a field of 8 nominees, etc., etc. By that point, I was like, no, too many numbers, and I can't.
I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, this is too many numbers. I'm just gonna skip ahead to the part that makes sense. It's a little bit hard to figure out, but it does.
We're gay and bad at math, so sorry. Maybe.
Hey, speak for
those
yourself.
Of you who,
I'm just
we'll link to that article
generally
too.
Stupid. No, that's not true.
That's not
but true. Yeah, we'll link to the article so you can read it for yourself. It's just an interesting part of, like, how the Academy is. The changes can come out of left field for some things. I was reading this, and it looks like they implemented it in 2009. So it's been about 10 years they've been doing it like this. And in my memory, the past 10 years have had some wild Best Picture picks where there was points where I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Or, like, it's just stuff that you didn't expect.
Yeah. I mean, and it's worth noting that this is the same system, again, that led Moonlight winning Best Picture, which I think was
beyond
a rare
well-deserved
instance of Moonlight, you know, actually being the best film of the year, and the Academy making the right decision, not only in nominating it, but in also giving it the award. And that, like, I mean, this was 2 years ago, but it's still astounding to talk about this, how big of a deal it was that Moonlight made it as far as it did, when it's like everything that we think that we know about what the Academy looks for in a Best Picture nominee or winner was stacked against it. It's an independent film. It's a relatively unknown filmmaker. It's about the intersection of race and masculinity and sexuality, focusing on the coming of age story of a young Black man in Miami. Like, it's so rare that you see something like that in a Best Picture pool that has, on top of that, a gay romance in it. And I think that I was not expecting it to win that year because of, you know, my memory of the year that Brokeback Mountain was nominated. I was like, well, gay films just don't win, and that's that. So different circumstances.
Yes, absolutely.
And yet
absolutely.
So not. And, you know, I didn't completely hate La La Land, but
it did deserve Best Picture.
It was very refreshing. It didn't deserve Best Picture, I don't think. And that was one of those moments too where it was like that kind of bittersweet thing where the circumstances surrounding that win were pretty unique and incredible to watch in real time, speaking as somebody who was watching it in real time, to see the entire team behind La La Land go up there and, like, start to accept this award and then slowly realize that this was not their award. Ryan Gosling just absolutely losing it in the back.
It was so great.
And it was that was like, the spectacle of that was great. It was very sad that Moonlight didn't really get to have
its moment. No, didn't they get, like, played off also?
A proper speech. I can't remember. I feel like by that point people were like, we need to wrap this up or something, and they didn't really give it a moment, so that was disappointing.
Yeah, it sucked. God, it sucked.
Yeah. But man, what a night.
Yeah. I'm also looking at last year's Oscars. This is kind of, because I'm thinking about like Best Director, Best Picture, like how those things all panned out. I forgot that Shape of Water, because I was thinking about Get Out. I was thinking about movies that like, I was like, God, what did Get Out win last year? Because it should have won. I remember thinking it should have won more than it did. It won Best Original Screenplay, I think, and that was it. And I was like, God, what won Best Picture? And it was Shape of Water, which, like, fair. I didn't actually end up seeing Shape of Water, but
it was good. It was, I really liked it. I don't think it was his best movie, and I don't think it was...
Oh, absolutely not.
In my personal opinion, the best movie of the year.
No.
But it was not... That and his Best Director win were not wins that I was, like, actively upset about. You know, it was like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know.
The man deserves awards.
Start a riot.
Like...
Yeah.
Once again, is this the movie he should have been winning awards for?
Yeah.
Maybe not, but, like... He's got him now.
Yeah.
Dunkirk was also up last year. I don't remember if Dunkirk was up for Best Picture or not, but that was another one where it was just like...
It was not. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Paddington 2 didn't win anything.
Oh, yeah, Justice for Paddington 2. In all seriousness, actually, Justice for like, If Beale Street Could Talk. Because I think it only won... Regina King got Best Supporting Actress. I'm like, God, that movie was like...
Yeah, which absolutely
deserved. Not to... That was another one where there was an asterisk, which was like, you absolutely deserve this award. And also, this movie probably should have gotten more awards. I think it lost out on a few things to Bohemian Rhapsody, if I recall correctly, which is like...
Well, it was nominated for Best Original Score, which was won by Black Panther.
Okay,
so that's
okay.
Even though the score was very good.
Lost adapted screenplay. Yeah.
To Black Klansman, which again, I'm okay with that. Actress in supporting role. There's just a bunch of awards that it should have been nominated for.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking is that it just wasn't up for as much as it should have been.
It could have been up for Best Picture. It could have been up for Best Director.
Film editing. Was it up for film editing?
Editing. It should have been up for editing. Cinematography.
It was not.
Costume design.
Why the fuck was Green Book up for editing? Give that spot to Beale Street. Or Vice.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, this was an interesting year just because I said this earlier, that there was a few things where they were surprising and they were good picks, and it was like, oh, I genuinely did not expect that was going to be the pick, and I'm very excited that was the pick. There was a lot, which is as per usual, which is like, this is the pick I thought it was going to get made, and it's kind of a boring pick, but I'm not like shocked. There were a bunch of picks where it's like, this was a good pick, and this is what should have been picked, so like rock on. And then there was a solid handful of things where I was like, why the fuck did you pick this? Like, really? This is what you did? So it was a very much a mixed bag of a year. I'm feeling tentatively positive, but I don't know.
People are going to talk about us every year as like, art is subjective, and you know, with things that they liked that did win and other people are mad about, you know. And that, like, yeah, okay, fine. That is true. A lot of it does have to do with what people genuinely liked, but also politics are a part of it. And by that, I don't mean just, like, the politics of what people believe about, like, their own personal belief or experiences with racism, or, like, what political party they're actually a part of. I mean also, like, politics in terms of who's hiring who's worked with who's talked to who at a party, you know, etc. Like, that all goes into it too. It's always been part of the Academy Awards, and it's shitty that it is, but it is. And I think it's disingenuous for people to pretend like it's just subjective and it's just what these people like, because art is never going to be.
I mean, like, forget fucking Hollywood politics bullshit aside. Art isn't objective. Art is, on any level, a completely subjective action. Action's not the phrase I wanted, but trying to determine what is the best, what is good. There are obviously technical things you can go into. You could say, like, this is what makes a good camera angle. The editing they did for Bohemian Rhapsody was bad. Like, there's some, lines we could draw in the sand. But at the end of the day, like, The Fall is one of my favorite movies of all time. It was a mastercraft, emotionally, in terms of cinematography, in terms of acting. And it didn't win anything. It's one of those movies where I say The Fall is one of my favorite movies, and people are like, I've never heard of that. And that doesn't make it lesser art because it didn't get public accolade.
Yeah. And it's worthy to note that, like, a lot of these movies that, even the ones that are nominated but didn't win a lot, are usually the ones that are going to be talked about years from now. And a lot of the times the movies that do win major awards often get forgotten. I mean, it's not always the case, but I think, you look at something like the history of It's a Wonderful Life, which was actually nominated for quite a few Academy Awards, like Best Picture, but was, kind of a box office failure, and it didn't really win anything, and then people forgot about it, and because nobody cared about it, it fell into the public domain because they didn't bother to renew the copyright, and this film was then rediscovered sometime in the 1970s, 1980s, and played on Christmas by a bunch of different television networks. And then it was kind of this collective rediscovering of this movie, and now it's a beloved classic. And not to say that, like, and I haven't personally seen Best Years of Our Lives, which is the movie that won Best Picture of the year It's a Wonderful Life was nominated, so I can't speak to its quality, but you talk to a lot of people and they don't know what Best Years of Our Lives is, but It's a Wonderful Life is this staple of American cinema. And, like, not that was a horrible sentence that I can't believe just came out of my mouth, but not that that's necessarily a good thing, because there's some things that are quote unquote classics and they end up being, like, kind of terrible. But
I'm looking at you, Citizen Kane.
It's no, don't be mean to Citizen Kane.
I'm gonna bully Citizen Kane.
Is like, don't bully Citizen Kane on Maine.
No. But I absolutely hear what you're saying, though.
Yeah. Awards kind of feel like a big deal right now, and I think that it is important that we do talk about these things because it is important in terms of the history of who decides what is the best and who has, like, the voice in our larger cultural conversation. It is important to look at who is winning, but 20 years from now, or even less than that, like 10 years from now, this isn't going to be as important, I think, and that's what I'm holding on to.
Absolutely. You know who's going to remember Green Book? Probably nobody. You know who's going to remember Black Panther? Everyone. Maybe this is a hard stance to take, but, like, there's some of the movies on this list that I think people are going to be talking about for a long time, and not all those movies won a lot of awards this year. And that's,
Some of them weren't even nominated for any Academy Awards, and Paddington 2.
What was that?
That was my hint cough for Paddington 2.
It sounded like you just sneezed. Yeah. Paddington 2 was snubbed.
Oh.
Paddington 2 got phenomenal reviews across the board. It didn't get nominated for anything.
And it's genuinely a well-made movie. It's a family movie. I genuinely hope that people will be sharing this with their children for decades to come. So, Paddington 2 lives on in our hearts and in our minds.
Paddington 2, forever in our hearts. Paddington 2 won the Oscar in our hearts, and that's what matters. The Heartskers. Ooh, that wasn't good. Bad joke.
Nope. Sorry, we have to end on that, and you can't edit it out.
It's true.
It's not allowed to be edited out. You have to keep it in. Should we end on that?
Yep. We're ending on Paddington 2 won my Heartsker.
Well, It's good to end things on a good note.
A positive note for these difficult times.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on Sneople at the Movies from the Infinity Break Network. Check out infinitybreak.net for more awesome content, and come hit us up on Twitter at PeopleSnake. It's people_snake, or shoot us an email at sneopleatthemovies@gmail.com. Our amazing music was done by Johnny Ronaldo, who you can find at Johnny Ronaldo on Twitter. If you've got a subject you want to hear us talk about, a movie you think we absolutely need to see, or whatever, please say hello. Drop us a line. Also, if you can, please leave a review on iTunes and share the show with any friends you think would enjoy it. Anything you can do to help spread the news really helps us a lot, and we would really appreciate it. Do we know what we're doing next week? Before I completely wrap up,
I believe our next episode we are going to be talking about. I always forget the buzzword we're using for it, but it's masculinity in film.
Male intimacy and friendships.
Yes, this is one we've been talking about for a while. Ezra and I are both going to have like very particular, I think, like gender feelings on it. But we're really excited. We're going to be covering a host of movies, including Lord of the Rings. We're going to be talking about a lot of Age of Sails things. Some classic war movies. There's going to be a lot covered, so I'm really excited for this one.
So yeah, looking forward to it. And as always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the movies. Bye.
This podcast is part of Infinity Break, where we're telling stories our own way. You can find all of our shows, podcasts, webcomics, and more at infinitybreak.net. Stay up to date with new show announcements, behind-the-scenes sneak peeks, and updates on your favorite shows. You can follow us on any social media platform by searching for Infinity Break 23. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/infinitybreak. Every dollar helps us improve the quality of this show and create new shows like this one for your listening pleasure. Thank you for listening. Please tell your friends, and as always, stay in the loop.